You don't get paid the top dollar. You work, very hard, but you're working with the most important commodity that this area has, your future workforce. And so I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to beg you to hear what I have to say, because I'm neutral. I do workforce in 16 out of the 28 workforce boards. In the state of Texas, this map represents where you guys are at. In South Texas, your workforce area is comprised of these three counties, Webb, Zapata, and Jim Hogg. There are 28 of these workforce boards throughout the state of Texas. And surprisingly to me, because I'm into the data, every one of these areas has different demand occupations. They have a lot of commonality, like teachers and truck drivers, but every area has a uniqueness. And I'm going to talk to you about you. This is the story of South Texas. And I want you to know the story because we need y'all to know this story. We need your help. Houston, we got a problem. That's what I'm going to tell y'all. South Texas, we have a challenge. We really don't have problems. We have challenges, and we try to find solutions. Who's going to help me with the slide? Next slide. Okay, this money to pay you to come and do this program came from Texas Workforce Commission. They are about this program, and it's being done in a lot of places in the state of Texas. The state of Texas awarded this money because it is one of the areas that is being pushed throughout the state of Texas. And we want you to be one of our warriors to help us, okay? And I'm going to share with you, when I say I'm neutral, I'm going to share with you the truth, because we've talked to employers in this area, and they've told us a whole lot of stuff that we're going to relay to you today and this week, okay? We okay? All right. And so we need for y'all to be familiar with the market, the labor market, because you guys are feeding it. You're actually like working in a production. You're producing those little widgets, turning them into teachers and nurses and truck drivers. But there's a disconnect that we need to talk about. The employers that we know out there, they're very anxious to get together with you because they have challenges out there in meeting their workforce needs. So they're real happy to participate. They're going to welcome you on their work site because they have a real hard time filling positions. You're graduating seniors who are not ready to work. And I'm going to tell you what they're telling us about your workforce pool that's coming out, okay? So we need this partnership and we need it productive. And the glue that's going to put it together is making you aware of the Workforce Center. They're here to fill the gap. They're the connector between school and work. And if we don't have cooperation there, there's nothing we can do because we can't force somebody down an employer's throat. If they're not ready to work, they don't get a job. And you know what happens to your economy? Those jobs will be filled by other people coming in from other areas and taking your jobs that really belong to you. So it's about the people who have made a decision to live in this area. And they live in this area because it's a community. Y'all built a community. You got family, you got your churches. You're engaged and involved in this community, and you are South Texas. You are South Texas. And why in the heck would you want other people to come over here and get your jobs that are really for people that are coming out of your training, out of your education? And if the employers are saying they're not ready to work, then we need y'all to help us get them ready to work. So I'm going to give you the background, and you're going to carry this as you're walking through the week. And I hope that on Friday, after you see this, that you get an epiphany and put something together for those dear, precious little children that are in your classroom. Okay, next slide. Okay, the employers. when we did this program the last time, we do a pre-survey and then we do a post-survey with y'all. But then we interview the employers at the end. And when we interview the employers, these are a little bit of what they told us. They told us, thank you for bringing those teachers to our work site. I could feel them learning and seeing the occupation at work. And what you're seeing is that we kind of need a systemic change to how we teach. A systemic change is, you know, very challenging when we've always done it this way. Why are we changing? We've always done it this way. So these are little highlights. I'm not going to read them to you because you guys know how, everybody know how to read. So I don't usually read the slides. I give you background. Y'all can read them as I go along, but I'm going to talk to you out loud or off the script here about some of the things the employers are saying. Employers are saying that when they come to work, we're not teaching in the right setting. The employers are saying they don't know how to work in teams. I started observing, why do they keep saying that? Because when we have a classroom, we're sitting them like this. And the teams that you'll see out there, they work like in circles. So if we were gonna emulate what the employers are saying, all our classrooms would be round tables. And those kids would be what? Talking to each other. That's the other thing. They don't know how to talk to each other. Your mama wear army boots. I don't want to do that. They don't know how to talk to each other. They get mad, they get fired. They don't know that because systemically, we're not setting it up to attach with the employer. Are you with me? Do you understand what I'm saying about that? Team, does that make sense to you? Yes. Okay. And then the employers, when I visualize what they're saying, we need to sit them and teach them how to be a team, how to work together, how to talk together, how to what? Find solutions. Well, in the classroom, you precious teachers for 8 hours got to be up here talking, and you don't want your students to be saying anything. And I can appreciate that, but the employers need those students to be taught. But that makes a loud classroom. It seems disorganized, but we've got to use some kind of imagination or something in your classroom that would help them get these skills. They're necessary skills for them to become productive citizens. That's what we want, right? If they're not productive citizens and they graduate high school and they don't have a job and they get hungry, guess what? You're getting robbed. That's what happens to your economy. You start losing your economy. That's why I want you to know how important your position is in the continuum between school and work, and the connector, and how that affects the South Texas economy overall. They need to know conflict resolution, and we call them soft skills. I was surprised. Every time I hear soft skills, I hear different skills. Give me the next slide, Bertha. Who's doing my slides? Give me the next slide. Okay, the soft skills. The soft skills are, they need to know how to get to work on time. Do they get to your classroom on time? No. Well, we need to do something a little bit harder about that. We let them in the classroom, but we need to do something that makes them understand the importance of getting to places on time. Like I wasn't this morning, but we need for them to come to the job site on time. Okay, this one surprised me. They need to brush their teeth. They need to not have pants on the ground. They need to know that they're in an environment that's part of the economy. They need to know their role in the contribution to the South Texas economy. Y'all need to feel like this is a family here in South Texas, and you're about this area thriving and growing, and your occupations getting to the top of the wage scale, because you've got a real good economy going here. I don't know if you remember in 2005, shortly after that, 2008, your economy took a major change. Does anybody know why? Because the Eagle Ford Shale came in. And when the Eagle Ford, does anybody remember the Eagle Ford Shale? Okay, that you probably saw the changes there. It changed your economy tremendously. Before that Eagle Ford Shale came in, your occupations were probably the lowest paying in the whole state of Texas. When the oil, Eagle Ford Shale, oil, when the oil industry came in, they did what's called a churn. They paid top wages, like $8. They started out like at 16 on up. And what happens is a churn. All the cream of the crop, everybody who could get to work on time, everybody who knew how to brush their teeth and do all the soft skills, and they got those jobs, and it created vacancies in these other jobs over here. And those employers were fighting and looking for workers. But what happened was, in order for them to hire, they had to raise their wages. So most of those wages went up to about $10 to $12, where they were $8 before. So your industry took a drastic change. And that oil and gas industry brought in millions of dollars. You could see the changes coming down Interstate 35, hotels being built, McDonald's couldn't find workers being transported from Webb County to the McDonald's 30 minutes away. What was the name of that city? Cotulla. There was a bus going over there because they could not fill those positions. And they were paying $12 an hour on up. And so we had to bus, because that was what was happening. The churn was taking all of those workers to those expensive jobs. Everybody had to start raising their wages. Then the Eagle Ford Shale went down. And you cannot bring wages down. You'll lose your economy. So your wages went up because of that Eagle Ford Shale. And your wages are still increasing because your economy is strong. They brought in millions and millions of dollars to people who own land here, and they bought land. You probably know some people that became overnight millionaires. There were articles about overnight millionaires in Laredo. Your banking system was booming because people were putting money in the bank. Your economy took a visual change that I saw in data. When I look at data, I see people, I see houses, I see a lot of dimension and depth, and I could see your economy actually changing because of this. And I've been taking care of your data, so I know all your secrets about your economy. And so I can tell you that you're primed for a lot of opportunity, but we need to get our act together to make sure that we're taking care of our employers by giving them the type of people that we need to give them so they could hire. Okay, when teachers did this at the end, that post survey, they were grateful. They said this was a benefit. You know, like Mr. Trevino asked you, how many people went to the private sector before you got a job teaching? So you worked in the private sector. That's a whole new world, isn't it, compared to teachers? If you're in the classroom, it's kind of hard to see what I'm saying because you do things, you know, a little bit different. You're a demand occupation, you're important, but you're kind of like over here, an anomaly. Over here, you know, we've got private sector. Your number one growing industry that will always be one of the top industries is transportation and warehousing. Transportation and warehousing have their own way of doing things. Those persons that work in transportation and warehousing, they have a lot of opportunity and career ladders. That's what we want you to know. And they went and visited, these teachers went and visited those transportation and warehousing employers. And when you go to these industry places, one of the things that the teachers told me that they really didn't pay attention to, but it came to be a very important, I think, learning opportunity for them, is that when you think of industry like healthcare, for example, you think, oh, they got nurses and doctors. They got nurses, they got doctors, they got bookkeepers, another target demand occupation. They got every single occupation that you can think of working in the healthcare industry. And later on, I'm going to show y'all some data about that y'all can share with your students. All the occupations, they work in several industries. You have a lot of transferable skills. I don't want to tell you this, but teachers have a lot of transferable skills. Don't go get another job, because we need you in that job, but you have the skills to go to a lot of career ladder moves in a lot of industries. But I ain't gonna tell y'all about that. Because I need y'all in the teaching industry. Okay, so we took them to the job sites, and one of the things that they observed is technology. That happened after COVID. We have gone to a tremendous change in technology, and they're saying a lot of the kids don't relate. They don't, truck driving, all technology now. They will not let you in that truck until you have like 2 years of experience, but you also know, you have to know how to work the computer. That thing is so computerized. And those truck drivers, that's a steady job. They can work forever in trucking because it is a #1 demand occupation here. But technology came into it. You teachers went through technology. Wasn't that so much fun to be on Zoom and seeing your little Cherry Mary muffins there all in the little picture? And they were so happy. They were on time, didn't have to smell bad breath, but it was difficult. It was difficult to relay your message and hear the body language and to feel what they were feeling, but you did it. You did it. However, not just your area, in the whole United States of America, data says we are behind because of that challenge that we had. We did our best, but it's hard to make a child learn when they are having to provide their own discipline. That's tough, ain't it? Isn't it? But technology is an important thing. So any opportunity that you get in your classroom to relay that to them is giving them a skill. You're gonna help them get a degree, but I'm gonna put it in your head that you need to help them gain as many skills as they can gain. My grandpa told me that if I learned something real good, even if it just paid minimum wage, if I knew how to do that skill, I would never starve. That's what, and I kept remembering him saying that. And I was like, nobody likes data. I'm going to learn how to do that. I wasn't born, but I got really skilled and able to make a living doing that as an independent contractor because I concentrated and learned a skill that became very beneficial. So you have to recognize this in your children that you're teaching and see them as getting a job at the end. If we don't make that connection, nobody will. And it's pretty sad. I do a lot of these kind of talks, and I always think to myself, it is so sad when I go over there to the high schools like a week after graduation, and there's kids milling around. Like, you graduated, go to work. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to find a job. I don't even know what to look for. We don't give them what they need to have. Go to work, mijo, fly. We don't do that. But the Workforce Center can help you do that. I'm hoping that we can make connections here and that y'all can be referring students to the Workforce Center so they can help them understand opportunity and skills that they have to have, because they do this in a lot of programs. They're one of the best kept secret. If you don't know about them, you need to know about them because they are the key to helping your little ones. When they come to you and they say, my family is hurting, or you could tell by looking at them, you're skilled, you know who they are. These are the kids that need your assistance to channel them to the right place. And that's the workforce center. They're here to help your kids, but we need for you to know that so that you can, because they trust you. You're with them the whole year. So y'all know who they are. Y'all know them intimately like that. Y'all know what they're about. You know their family, or you should. That's why I'm trying to get you to see that they're humans that need to be channeled. Did anybody, when you made your decision to be a teacher, who had counseling and was encouraging you to go in that direction? Oh, wait. Going. Isn't that sad? Into teaching.
I think mostly I was discouraged by so many people.
See, that's what happens. You're absolutely right. You make assumptions about people, and I'm sure they told you, well, you should be this, or you should think about this, and they're not hearing what you're saying. They're making assumptions about you. But look at you. I bet you that you're one of the greatest teachers that the children love. You're here. You care enough to be here. So you're meant to be a teacher.
My worst saying from several people was, I don't know how many of you experienced that, but those who can do and those who can't teach.
That is sad.
That really got me very upset. I was halfway into teaching by then. But I don't know how many of you experienced that. And teaching doesn't pay, don't go into it, do anything else but teaching. So many of those kinds of comments. And
your reward is greater. Your reward is about really contributing and making a difference in this economy. You need to be honored every day that you go into that classroom. And I apologize for everyone who doesn't do that, because you guys are deserving. My husband is a teacher, and so I understand what you go through and your frustrations. So I'm going to commend you every time for going into that profession. The same with nurses. Nurses work shift work, and they don't get holidays unless it falls into their days off. They work 7 days on shift work. So that's very tough. They get paid a little bit better because they're working shift work. Right. So that's something that I'm trying to convey to you, that we need to do better in career exploration. We need to do better in trying to assess what their likes and unlikes are. They should have done better for you as a teacher. It's real sad when I talk to some of the people that are in training, especially the employers. I did a healthcare study not too long ago, and I talked to a lot of the employers in hospitals, and I was like, what? What the what? The students that were going through this training to become nurses, the employers told me they didn't know that they had to work shift work. They didn't know, and they're like 2 years into the training, and they're like ready to go work, but they have no clue what the real work side is like. They didn't know they were going to have to do all these things. And then one of them, changed careers because they got upset that they had to work a holiday. And they invested all that time in that training and then shifted. My heart was breaking because I was like, that is a disconnect, and you cannot do that today. Because if y'all looked at the price of a college degree today, oh my gosh, you're going to be teaching until your viejitos and viejitas to pay that college degree. So we got to do better. We got to find ways and opportunities for them to gain what they have to gain. There's a school, a charter school that ask me to come in and help them find some money. I do a lot of grant writing. And that charter school, every one of the people that are in that charter school, they graduate with a high school diploma and an AA degree. Every one of those kids. So they're halfway through their training, and that is possible. You got Laredo College here encouraging AP and, dual credit, and why we're not pounding on that because of the expense of college. Do you still got college debt? You're through? Yay! If you got college debt, that's a real big part in your financial monthly to pay that college debt. So we have to do better about that. If your kids can get that AA degree or some college credit, it does offset what they're gonna go on and do. And those first 2 years are basics. You really don't get into your major. But we can do that. We can do that. You're in charge of your classroom. That's what my husband would say. I'm the king in here. I rule in here. I run things in here. And that's why I'm telling you this, because he said, I changed my classroom. I listened to what you said. You did? Well, why didn't you take the trash out? He said, I changed what I had to change. I listened because I cared about my kids. And every time we go to HEB, there's, every time there's somebody, oh, Mr. Cintron, you really changed my life. You cared. So you're difference makers. Well, the teachers were out there, and what they found out is there's a lot of occupations and there's a lot of career ladders. If you pay attention, you'll start seeing career ladders because they start out in warehousing and they're cargo and freight agents. They have to know technology because they're setting up the trucking, their logistics. Logistics get paid about $60,000. That's a good career move there. They're the ones that do all the planning and the truck driving schedule. They know where the pickups are. They do the weights. There's a lot of math in that, but it's a doggone good paying job to make a self-sufficiency. They're ready to get married and have children and no debt like this guy. Okay, so very impressive problem solving. They saw this happening on the job site. So use your imagination and take it back to your classroom. We're going to keep telling you that. Give me the next slide. Are we okay? I'm not boring nobody, and I don't need to holler at nobody, send somebody to the office. Okay. We talked about those skills, and I'm going to back up and tell you that the workforce solutions for South Texas, the 3 county areas. Remember, I told you there were 28 workforce boards. This workforce board that Mr. Trevino is the executive director of, and he's got a board of directors, and y'all probably know some of the board of directors that oversee your South Texas area. And then you got your chief elected officials. And so it's very, very regulated. And Mr. Trevino and his support staff, and I help them, they're charged to figure out your economy here. They're charged to find out what the biggest demand occupations are and make a list and let teachers and everybody and their dog know what that list is. In order to know that, because we start out with what's called raw data, and it's like buñuels of data that you're being fed. And so I've got to sift through that because you've got, just all kinds of different occupations working here. But in some occupations, you may need only 5. And we sure don't want to send people to training using our South Texas money when we know that there's only 5 and they're probably not going to get that job. That should be terrible. So I need for you to know what your demand occupations are here. It is what it is. And so if there is an opportunity at the end, please don't, if they want to be in an occupation that isn't in demand here, it may be in demand somewhere else, and that's okay. If Mijo wants to leave, he gonna come back. But if he wants to leave for a little bit, we're gonna channel him to where that occupation gets a job before he goes invest all that money to get the training, and then there's no job. You know, there is philosophy majors. You know, there isn't a building called philosophy out there. That's a real tough one, you know. So what do? They shift and get that teaching certificate, or, you know, because, you know, there isn't much opportunity in the philosophy. Does anybody have philosophy degree here? To be or not to be? Okay, so we validate the data for the industries in this area. I take your chunk out of Texas and I look at it very dimensionally, and I start seeing a whole lot of stuff, but I start seeing the same thing. You're never, ever going to stop being one of the biggest transportation and warehouse industry providers. That's never going to change as long as you have what? The border here, bringing in and taking out. You're always, you're one. You were number one. They say number two. I looked at that. I'm gonna say you're 1.5, the biggest inland port in the whole United States of America. Did y'all know that? Yes. So your number one industry is transportation and warehousing. They hire bookkeepers. They hire cargo and freight agents. They hire every kind of occupation you can think of in that industry. There is a place there, but you gotta know how to work. And you got to stand the humidity. Whew, okay, so where are the gaps? The gaps are what I was telling you. Don't send no one to training if there isn't a job on the other side. If you're using your local money and you really want them to work in your economy, which you should. We want to grow our own. I think we should want to grow our own. Okay. So we talked to these employers, and in this round, we did a really, or they did a really good job, because they were pushing and talking, and I think we got 121, something like that. My memory's kind of slow, but we got that many employers to talk to us to do this plan. You keep time, Bertha, okay? Bring the cane and I'll get out of the way. So we talked to these employers. They're your employers. They're in your area. And we're talking to them and we're asking them, did we get this right? Talk to us and tell us, what do we need to do to help you? Help us help you. And they shared a lot of stuff with us, because why? They are dependent on you. So they have a willingness to talk about this, because we keep telling them we're going to be looking for solutions. And so we're charged to do a board plan. And you have a USB, right? They got a USB, Bertha?
Some of them.
Okay, you'll get a USB, and on the USB, there is the board plan. It's also on the website. And some of the data that's I'm going to show you here is in that plan, but that plan has a story. And the story will tell you about your economy here. Okay, so it's a very lengthy plan. I'm not going to go through it with you, but I took out highlights that you should know. But if you're really interested, and if you ever want to be a data diva, read that plan and see how it makes you feel. Okay, see if you see people. Next slide. Okay, what we got, and we've come a long way. We could have as many as 40 demand occupations, but your numbers that there's a projection that there'll be a job is very few in a lot of industries. Like I told you, why are we going to train somebody and send them to training when there isn't a real job in this area, or there's few jobs? Okay, so we go through data and we look at what's projected. And then from that look, we come up with what's called targeted occupations. These are hot occupations. They're in demand. There is a job there. Industries galore are looking for people to fill these jobs. And there's 20 hot jobs that we identified. Okay. This is the 20. General and operations managers. You got a lot of industries that hire general and operations managers. General and operations managers is a career ladder. You probably, a cargo and freight agents, your little Mijo gets into that, and the career ladder, he can become a a general manager, the patron, the one in charge. And they pay very well. Some of them make over 6 figures in this area. They're very much in demand, but they're the ones that have their life together and are disciplined and willing to work and put in. And if you have a student like that, there's a job that he can be channeled to, career ladder to. Accountants and auditors, a big demand here. The computer and user support specialists, the data there is undercounted. It's also wrong there, but computer and user support specialists, I call it an anomaly because there's so many of them. Computer specialists, computer support specialists, I say technology. And so this one we put on there because every single industry needs technology. So it is a demand. If they went into this training, when they go to Laredo College, when I looked at their list, I think there's about 7 that are called computer something. And so we kind of looked at that as a package because it is everywhere. If you send your kids to study computer technology, there will be a job for them. It's in demand. Here's your office, and see how they're categorized. Office and administrative support occupations, bookkeepers, cargo and freight agents, shipping, and medical secretaries. They work in, with the exception of medical secretaries, those 3 top occupations, cargo and freight agents, all the mall hires them to put their merchandise, from the trucks that are coming in. Every single industry probably has a shipping and receiving occupation, especially if they're in the service industry. Big occupation here, and it's got career ladder. Healthcare, the EMTs, the licensed practical vocational nurses. Registered nurses is one of the top occupations in the state of Texas. They get paid a little bit more, but they're like y'all. They're so important to our economy, and they are also one of the top industries. Teachers are on the list. We got problems here with teachers. We can't fill them fast enough. Did y'all know that? Anybody have any problem getting a job teaching? Did you have to wait? Got hired the same day? Hey, you're in demand. And fortunately or unfortunately, because it's relative to where you want to live, there are some school districts that pay more than other school districts. But you may have, 150 kids in your class. That's possible. There are school districts that are bigger that pay more, so the range of pay for teachers is relative to where you teach. It's based on your taxes, your tax economy. That is true about a lot of the school districts. Yes, and there's a comparison there that's in that board plan that I kind of looked at. Because yes, you are in a good position here because you're such in demand. Okay, so you are one of the biggest demand occupations, and there isn't data available because you're always in a flux. You're always, in and out. So it's hard, and they limit data because of that pay range. If there is not enough school districts, and you have one of the fewest number of school districts in compared to other areas. In Waco, in one county, and they got 6 counties, there's 16 school districts. They don't call them independent school districts for nothing either. They all got their board and administrative, 16 in one county. You guys have 3 main ones. Right? No, there's more in Webb County, but you have one of the fewest number of school districts. You're probably one of the most consolidated. Central Texas, where Killeen is at, they're also working to consolidate, but that high school is turning humongous because they have, you know, the soldiers, so the military is there. So yes, school teachers very much in demand. And then you have these occupations. These are very good paying occupations if you get the certification and the skills. And not everybody has to have a bachelor's. There's opportunity here with certifications, and we have a lot of certification programs. We also need to push apprenticeship. They don't have to go to college. They can get apprentice and then work their way up, journeyman, and you know how you've heard of apprentice. And so they work with a mentor and they get paid a salary. So they get paid right away, and it's apprenticeship. They're doing training, and it's being registered in Washington in the Fed's little database, and it keeps up with their training and their hours, and they're on their way to become a master. And the masters can pull permits, and the masters become independent contractors, and the masters are owning those big, beautiful houses that y'all got out there in that new development. They're living in those houses next door to the general operations managers because they're making that much. Opportunity. If your kids are saying, I don't think college is for me, then we need to encourage them to gain the skills they need to gain to become a master in these areas. Okay, you see your heavy and tractor truck drivers? You see that big number? That number just keeps going and going and going. In order to be on that big truck, it's not on there. But remember I told you they need 2 years to be able to drive that $1 million truck? They can make those 2 years if they get a job with the brown truck, UPS or FedEx. You know, those are the next level of trucking. If they work in those trucks for a little bit, and you can get a job, there's demand there, and they can work their way and gain the skills they need to gain, get the trucking certification. We've got that on the training. And if your child qualifies, we could help them get the training they need and actually pay for the training for them. There's that kind of opportunity that we need for you to be aware of. Certifications, apprenticeship. There's different options for your kids to get a job. Okay. Next slide. Are we okay? Okay. Remember, I've been telling you about these on and on, about the soft skills. We pulled 23 employers, and that's what they told us, that, you know, the lack of computer skills, those truck driving certifications, there's such a demand for that. Forklift certifications. If somehow in the schools or somehow we can get them a forklift certification, they can go to work in the warehouse. They can go, when I say warehouse, Home Depot, all those warehouses, they can go there with a forklift certification. Now, the forklift certification is a little peculiar because you get that certification and the employer trains you anyway, but you know the basics of forklifts. And because there's like several different kind of forklifts. It depends on what kind of forklift the employer buys, but if you get them the certification, they got the basics. And so forklift certifications will get them a job right away. The Microsoft Office certification will get them a job in bookkeeping. You saw that as a demand occupation. They can become a bookkeeper. They can become a medical secretary. There's a lot of opportunity with the Microsoft Office certification, and employers told us this, and there were every single employer, every single industry said Microsoft Office products. If they don't know Word and Excel, they're not going to have a chance. Everybody's got to learn that. It's the new thing. It's like, it's just necessary. The Microsoft Office certification. And those critical soft skills, they must do communication. They must know how to work. They must know how to show up and do a good day, and they don't. When we did this survey this time, we went through a whole lot with COVID with the employers, and the whole economy and the whole United States took a turn. You know, it almost just stopped. And so after the COVID, people stayed at home. They did their classrooms virtually. People, non-essential workers were working at home. Everybody was turning to technology. Okay, and so here we are, we're coming out of it. COVID isn't really over, but we're coming out of it. And we have a change way of doing business. The employers are saying that the entry-level positions, they don't want to work. They show up, they come, and then they don't come back. That's a problem. I was like, why are they doing that? Well, it's possible that they go there and, the employer pays this, but it's hot work or whatever. And with the wages that are being paid at Chick-fil-A and Wendy's, because they're not paying minimum wage anymore. Those operations are up in their salaries. They're paying $12 to $14 an hour. And so there's so many of those. And I think that some of those entry level, they're bouncing around. They don't want to stay in one job. Longevity. You need to talk to them about that. Because even though, you may feel your salary isn't competitive, you've got a retirement plan. You're going to retire one day and you've got, money going in there. We need for these young people to understand that that's an important thing that they need to be working on, right? They need to have their little whatever that they need to afford themselves when they can no longer work, because them days come fast. Ask me. So we need to help them understand why longevity is important in a position, in a work position. You with me with that? I don't know. Is anybody getting close to retiring? Yay. See, it's important, isn't it? He got 3 more years. And so it's important. He's going to have what he needs to have to keep his family eating, because he worked on longevity. You'll get there, but we need to make sure that the people that you're teaching understand the importance of longevity in a job or saving for retirement. Okay, so the transportation and warehousing employers, I think we talk to them the most, and they're like, projection, we're going boom, we're booming, we're going to need about, they gave us some exaggerated numbers. They told us that they were going to need like almost 1,000 new positions by the year 2030. They are projecting that they're always going to be booming, they're always going to be growing. And I looked at your permits for warehousing, and they're like boom, 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 boom. They're expanding. There are refrigerated warehouses being put in. Lots of produce, bigger amount of produce coming in, because now they've got more refrigerated warehousing. You're building everywhere. Your economy is like out of just other areas would love what you got in transportation and warehousing. It's a big industry in San Antonio. They get, because you're on Interstate 35, they get whatever, you kind of leave at the skirt of your city there, they pick that up. But you got the main T-bone state. You know, you are the transportation and warehousing industry. That's your thing. We need to help those employers. Okay, let's go. Am I okay on time, Bertha? You can shut me up anytime you want to. Okay. I pulled this. Can you make that a little bit bigger? Okay. Here's what I wanted you to know. See those general and operations managers? Those are all the industries they work with. Okay. Now look at that column. Look at what is being paid. Come up a little bit. Oh, we don't want you to see that. Forget that. No, no. Okay, here you go. See the entry wage is in the middle. So if they go to work in that industry, the trade, transportation, and utility, the entry wage is $18.78 as a general and operations manager. You see the entry level wage, what? It's the highest in construction at $19.91. And you see the experience wage, $49.33 an hour. You see the different wages depending on the industry that you are going to be channeled to. You see what accountants make in all the different industries there? You have this data in that board plan. All the computer user support specialists, look at the difference in the entry wage between professional and business services at $12.58 compared to public administration. That's y'all. Computer user specialists get paid more. 1920, no, what is it? 1724 compared to financial activities at 1423. These are wages. This is average wage, and it's about South Texas. When you asked me about the comparison, there's also data that does this to show you the other school districts. It's very, very difficult to massage that data, but I could probably do it. Maybe, because it's very limited data. See, it's not available. Okay, the registered nurses, see, they work in education and health services. They work in professional and business services. They get paid $30.83 to start out with in professional and business services. There's a lot of industries that have a nurse, you know, as part of their occupations. Very important for you to know this as you're helping your students better understand the opportunities that are here. This data is about South Texas. It's not applicable anywhere else except South Texas. Every one of the 28 areas have different entry level and top wage. These are your wages that are averaged in this area, and these are the industries and how much they pay.
And how do we compare to other areas as far as that's concerned?
Your transportation and warehousing industry is probably the top paying industry in your area in comparison to other industries. Your wages today are probably, you know, on average with everybody else, because why? The Eagle Ford shell churn did that to your economy. So when that happened, your wages boosted up. Before that Eagle Ford shell, that was a sad labor market review, because your wages were way below anybody else in the state of Texas. But that boosted your wages up. You wouldn't be able to see these kind of wages back in 2005 when I started. They were very low. Right, Mr. Trevino?
Yeah, unfortunately, as we've done these analysis, all along the border area, wages are usually a little bit lower than they are the rest of the state. And that's just because of the fact that employers along the border area have been able to get employees at those lower wages. So as we get more competitive and get salaries are increasing, as Margie mentioned, because of the Eagle Ford sale, the salaries have increased overall. So we have become more competitive. I need to apologize, guys, because I know I saw some of you taking pictures. It's very small up there. I know you can't see it. We're getting printouts made of this, and we're gonna hand it out to you right now. So you guys will have those copies. Also, as Margie mentioned, it's available online. That's our strategic plan. So we'll make sure you get that link, and you're gonna get a USB also with that information. They're making printouts right now for you.
Going back to the salaries way back then, I don't know if it's still true now, but way back then, 20, 30 years ago, if you wanted to move to Dallas or Houston area and had a bilingual certification, you would earn 20, 30,000 more than anyone in the race.
Yes.
Starting pay.
That is a true statement. Bilingual is important everywhere in the state of Texas. With the technology, you have a lot of clients that are from other countries that speak Spanish. There's more Spanish-speaking countries than English-speaking countries. That's an asset for you here. Back in 2005, it was a challenge because English wasn't very prevailing. Most people spoke Spanish, but we pushed, and now your economy and your era has changed. You have a lot of bilingual people, especially the kids that are coming out of high school. But you have a lot of people here that still just speak Spanish. That's your census data says that, and that just recently came out, and you're probably still at the same. Your poverty rate has gone down, so your economy has shifted. See, we look at census and we look at every single data set, your population with Texas A&M, it's growing. You have a big, in census, this last one that came out, you have a challenge, and that's why I wanted you to know this, all what I can tell you, and I got this all like popcorn in my head, but your census data is saying that your age 18 to 24, you got something happening, they're leaving. That's your economy, that's your future. That's why we need your help, because we need to retain them here. They're leaving in Zapata and Jim Hogg. Imagine they're coming to Webb. But if there is an opportunity for them, if they don't know there's opportunity for them, they're going to go hunting. And if I tell you this, it is a statistical statement that I'm making. In order for it to be a statistics, it's got to be a big number to make a statistic. And you made a statistic. So you got a challenge here that I need for you to be aware of. Your kids, for some reason, so we need to talk it up about this is our home, this is our family, we need you. There's a Chinese proverb that says, tell me and I might remember, show me and maybe I'll see it. But if you involve me and you pull me in and you tell me I'm important, I'm going to get it and I'm going to contribute. So y'all got to be letting them know how important they are to this economy if they don't already know that. Okay, now we're going to show you some of the tools that are available to you, and that USB is going to have this on this. Okay, I got 5 minutes and I'm going to run through this, okay? These are available to you. They are free, and I need for you to know about these. Hit it. Get me through 5 minutes. The other way. Okay, there's a second presentation. You're cutting on my 5 minutes. I'm going to have to start singing. No, please. To be honest, church choir. Has this been good for you? Are y'all okay? Okay. Well, y'all gonna be having a lively week this week. Okay, y'all gonna go see those employers. You're gonna engage. You're going to pay attention and you're going to remember this data, and hopefully it'll become a little more real to you. And I know I'm pouring a whole lot on you. Teachers always get poured a whole lot, but I'm hoping that you're hearing something that I'm telling you about your opportunity to make a difference. You're in the teaching profession, I should hope, because you care. You're special, you're caring, and I'm hoping that you see those students in your classroom as your family, that you care enough to help them become self-sufficient. Because what if y'all would have been counseled? What if you would have been told some of the things that you should have been told? You know, what I know now, I wish somebody would have told me then. Do it for them. Save them some of the challenges that you went through. Okay, this is the website, Texas Workforce Commission. When you go in this website, this is the page that you see. Okay, next slide. Okay, it has on the right here, see students, counselor, and teachers. It has all these tools right here. Jobs, y'all. It tells you all the good paying jobs, and it's listed by workforce area. Remember, there's 28 and you're the South Texas area. There's internships available for your kids. You go in there and you sign them up. Make them sign up for an internship. They'll get put together with an employer. You got 0 signups on this right now. Y'all need to push this internships. There's a website called Texas Reality Check. It's a beautiful website. It has the 28 workforce boards, and then it has the what's called the Metropolitan Statistical Area, the MSAs, and Laredo is your MSA, and it tells you if you get this occupation, this is the wages you make. Now tell me how you want to live. You want an apartment? You want a house? What you gonna live in? You know, how much are you gonna spend on utilities, on the phone, and how much are you gonna spend on going to the mall, and how much and how much do you have left? You're in the negative. So if you want to live like this, which everybody should be able to pick how they want to afford themselves, mijo, you need to look at a different occupation. You see how that works? Take them through reality check. And if they want to live in another city, they'll see what it costs. And you can look at, you do a budget with them. And if they can't afford to live somewhere and they're not making enough money, they either cut the mall and the food and whatever and make that budget work. But it gives them a reality check, and it brings it home to them about how I need to pick an occupation to be able to afford myself. There's the state training inventory. That's a real good website because it shows you every single college training course in the state of Texas, as graduation rates. It has cost. It tells you a whole lot about the university, and y'all need to take them in there. Because if you have an occupation and there's training at Laredo and it's good training, they got graduation rates are good, why are you gonna go pay $150,000 at University of Texas? Wait till you go to graduate school. You see how you talk to them? Because you already been through that. So the state training inventory, and then the Texas cruise. It goes a little bit deeper, and it tells you a whole lot more about the wages for those occupations and what it's like in that occupation. It actually has little videos that show you, you're a nurse, got the light blood. The Texas Encores. This one right here, let's go to the slides because I show you every one of them. See, here's jobs, y'all. This is what it looks like when you go in there. Next slide. The Texas Internship. See where your kids sign up. Reality check. It gives you all the calculators, and this is the one that tells you the budget. Next one. Texas Career Check. This is the one that goes in and tells you about the occupations and where there's good occupations and careers. The state training inventory. This is the one I told you that has all of the programs, all the fields of study, all the colleges listed in here. This one is for you. This one was made for you. This is something you can get into, and you may want to look at this. It's available to you. There's no cheating this week. You're going to write a lesson plan, but see, if you go in here, they got lesson plans that you can kind of use as a guide to make a lesson plan that does what we're talking about today. Make the connection between school and work. You're going to be charged to do a lesson plan this week, and we have a facilitator that's going to help you through that, but you're going to do a lesson plan, and you're going to implement the lesson plan in the fall. And you're going to let him or Bertha know when you implement it. They may even want to come and watch it. And you could have an employer come and watch and listen to the lesson plan that you're going to do. We want to make it as exciting and real for the kids. And this right here, go in there, next slide. You see how it does? It asks you, what your grade is. See, these are in there one more time. See, it tells you what grade do you teach, and then it has everything about, here, it has the lesson plans in there. You go into each one of these, whatever grade you teach, and explore in there. It's free, and it has lesson plans in there, like what we're talking about, making a connection and what you're teaching. When you teach math, you tell them this is how they use it in what I saw in the warehousing industry. I didn't realize that you got to actually put a whole lot of data into this truck thing, and you got to add up numbers, or you got to know the weight, and you got to know how the weight works, and use it in your lesson plan. Make it connected to an occupation any chance you get. Anything that you teach, you can make that connection, because you're going to see that in your visits. Next slide. So those are the career exploration tools. The Workforce Center is here. They're very expert in these tools. They know how to use them. They're here to help you. This center is your center. This is the South Texas Center. It belongs to this area. They are here trained to help you help those students, and help you too, and help your family members, and help everybody that you got, that you know of, that needs a little bit of help in understanding how and what they can do to get a job, to become self-sufficient. Are you with me? Okay, I didn't bore you. I got jokes. Is it good? Okay, well then I'm through. I'm through, Mr. Cordino.
So guys, again, we want to thank Ms. Margie Cintron, the data diva, for her presentation. As she mentioned, yes, thank you. Go ahead. Margie, again, she's with grant writing and plans, and when the state called and said that they had available funds for a teacher externship, the first thing we said, we'll call Margie so she can help us write the plan, right? So she helped us do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that first part of the presentation. Again, that we do a lot of that labor market analysis. That's what we do as a workforce board. We're always trying to figure where the jobs are, where we should be sending our training dollars, where we should be training our labor force, so that they can find meaningful, good paying jobs, and they can then grow the Laredo economy, right? So that's what it's about for us. The next part of the presentation, you're going to learn a little bit more about the workforce services that are offered here. I mentioned at the beginning of the day how proud we are of this workforce center. Again, the workforce center was handed over to us in March of 2020. For 2 years after that, we operated out of here virtually primarily. And then just recently we had a grand opening and we opened it up for the public again. But it is a great resource. As Margie mentioned, it's your resource. We want to encourage you all to, for you to encourage your students and their families to use our services, because we are here to help all of the population of Laredo and South Texas. The first part, the next part of our presentation is going to be on the Workforce Center itself and the services that are offered. And we're going to have Ms. Gracie Perez, who is a business service representative lead. And she will be taking over the next part of the presentation. So Ms. Gracie Perez.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So as Mr. Trevino mentioned, we do want to focus on the services that we offer to both the employers and to the job seekers. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our employment service orientation. The Equal Opportunity Statement is that the Texas Workforce Commission, TWC, as recipient for the federal financial assistance, is prohibited from discriminating against any individual in the United States on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, disability, political affiliation, and belief. So the Work in Texas is mainly the website that we use with job search assistance. It can be, we do recommend for your students to go and register on Work in Texas if they're looking for employment. Work in Texas is the biggest platform in the state of Texas, and it's easy to navigate. So the Work in Texas is free. Our services are completely free. And you have to register it on workintexas.com, or we do have representatives who assist you with registration. They will create a resume for the student, and then they'll provide them with job search, as well as for your families or anyone who's in need of employment. So what you'll be learning about today is about our no-cost services. You'll receive information about our services for employment and training, and have the opportunity to receive job referrals. So the Career Center services, we have, you can choose from our various no-cost services to gain skills, find a job, and build a career. And the workforce services is that we do have computers with internet access, links to labor market information, interactive job maps, career information and assessments, copiers, phones, fax machines, assistance with friendly qualified staff. So the Workforce Center is a one-stop shop. You come in here, you will, we also have assistance with mock interviews, and we have a closet full of clothes. So if your students are in need of clothes, they have to go to an interview, you can take them, you can let them know that we're here, and we'll give them tips on how to speak during an interview. We'll prep them, we'll give them the proper clothes so they can be ready and get employed, as well as our computers. So we do have some of the employers who do the application or mainly the interview online. So if they don't have resources, a computer or a headset or the camera, we do have that available. We have a private room where they can go in and then do the interview there as well. And our online job search system, what we do is, like I mentioned, it's the free registration. We have a job search agent. We have the resume builder, career information resources, and job match advisor to improve the results. So for example, we did have a youth job fair this past month, and it was a complete success. We had 120 job seekers, and out of the 120, 50 got hired. So we do recommend for us to keep in touch. We follow us on social media. We do post there our job fairs. So if your students are in need of work, or if they want to do training services, they can come into our center. And more of the no-cost services are the career advancements workshop, the career advising, job search assistance and referrals, application and resume assistance, career education assessments, networking groups, on-site employer recruitment events, interviews, referrals to career center programs. So those are no-cost services. And we also have workshops, which I mentioned, the Work in Texas, that's the website that we use, the resume development, the critique, identifying your skills, and interviewing techniques. So as you create a resume on our Work in Texas, it gathers your skills, and then it gives you job matches. So it's easier for you to get the referrals on the skills that you have. And we also have our specialized programs and services, such as the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, which is the WIOA. We have our temporary assistance for needy families, which is TANF, supplementary nutrition assistance program with SNAP. We have veteran services, migrant seasonal farm workers, such as a MET program, youth programs, non-custodial parent, American Association of Relief Persons, which is the AARP. We have the disability accommodations, which is the American with Disabilities Act complaint. So all of the programs that we do have, especially our WIOA, which is focused more on our youth. The youth between the ages of 16 to 24 are eligible to qualify for work experience program, which I'll go more into detail in the next slide, or the other one. But for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, it's the WIOA eligibility-based program. It enhances the employability, occupation, attain, retention, and earnings for adults, dislocated workers, and youth. So the WIOA is very important, especially for the youth to gain that experience and gain that skills. So they would be going to a work site for 3 months. We would be paying them at $10 an hour, and they would be working for the employer to gain those skills. And after the 3 months, the ultimate goal is for them to retain employment at that work site. So it's a really, really great program for them to take advantage and gain that experience, communication, and skills. And which it's just what I just mentioned on this slide, which is the training and education services. We have staff assisted for job referrals, career and education assessment, and job development. So they will be assigned a counselor, and that counselor will go ahead and tell them about the different work sites that we have, what career pathway they want to go into. So we can accommodate a work site to them and get 3 months of employment and training. And it is from the ages between 16 to 24. They must be eligible for services. And we have also our adult program, which is for 18 years and older. The WIOA training and education services, like I mentioned, is the work experience. We have on-the-job training, occupational skills training, adult basic education and GED, referrals to on-site and off-site partners, and short-term vocational training. So we do offer our GED program as well, and it's completely free. And we have the eligible training provider system, which is an ETPS, our board approved, state approved. So we do also provide trainings for the CDO program, certified nurse aide. We have the nursing program, dental assistant, medical assistant, VR trainings, and associate degree. So those are some of the eligible training providers that we do offer here at Workforce. And the support services to ensure success is transportation. We have childcare, work-related expenses, and emergency assistance. Those are support services that we have here at the center. And if you want to continue, you do have to create an account on our Work in Texas. You must take the TABE test in the reading, math, and language, and then meet with our customer solutions representative. They'll go ahead and provide a pre-screening and collect documentation for the process for the WIOA. And we do have 3 centers. One is in Laredo, which are here. One in Zapata, the 605 US Highway 83, and Hebbronville. We don't have an office yet, but we do have a representative there who's teleworking. So we have a representative in Webb counties. And I want to go ahead and speak more about our youth. So our youth are our future, and we are having a youth career exploration on September. So we do invite the whole school districts to come in and participate, bring their students. We'll be outreaching our in-demand companies. We did have one last year, and it was very cool. We had some of the SWAT representatives here. They brought their SWAT truck. We had the fire department, and they brought their trucks as well. So it's something innovative that we want to do every single year. We want to bring our in-demand companies where the students can actually see what type of work they're doing, what the gear. So it's pretty fun. So that would be on September, and we want to focus on our youth. Our youth are our future. So if you have any questions in regards of the workforce centers services.
What did you call this September?
September, we're still working on the date, but it would be, we're hoping to have it on September. And it's going to be a big event. We're hoping to have over 40 companies not here at our center. We're still working on a site, but it will be about 40 to 50 companies where the different industries will come together. They'll speak to the students. We're gonna hope to have the employers take their gear, their trucks, so they can have that one-on-one conversation with the students, and then they're able to use that gear or the equipment that they have.
And this is gonna be during the school day?
Yes, it'll be during the school day. So once we have a day and time, we'll work with the UISD, with all the school districts, and let them know about the career exploration.
The WIOA training that she mentioned in the slide is eligible for any of those 20 occupations that are on the demand occupation list, right, Mr. Trevino? And there is, what, 3,000?
4,000, up to 4,000.
Up to $4,000 for training if they're eligible for any of those 20 occupations that are on the list. Okay, 4,000 doesn't go very far for a teaching certification, but if they have a bachelor's degree and want to go into teaching, is a possibility that that can be used to pay for that certification. So all 20 of the occupations on the target list are eligible for training money. And your students have to be determined eligible to be able to benefit from that fund. Just wanted to help clarify.
Thank
What are
you.
the eligibility requirements?
The eligibility requirements, it's high school, well, we'll go ahead and give you the list. There's several eligibilities, either foster youth, runaway home, pregnant, and then for them to be seniors or school dropouts. Those are some of the eligibilities, but I can go ahead and give you a list of more, going more into detail about the eligibility requirements.
Those are really just some of the targets.
Some of the
that we
targets.
serve. They don't have to be that to be eligible.
Oh.
The eligibility really is just based on US citizenship or have the ability to work in the United States legally. You must meet an income criteria, which will help do the determination. Primarily what we use as an example is if they qualify for free and reduced lunch, those type of things. That usually helps the family qualify. For males, once they hit the age of 18, they have to register for selective service. So those are the eligibility requirements to become eligible for services. What was mentioned earlier was we have target groups, so certain populations that we serve that we see have harder or more barriers to find jobs. So they're in those target groups, we will then bring them in and give them additional resources to help find employment. The biggest thing that we do here at the Workforce Center is we try and connect them to the resources that they need. Those programs that you saw, I know we went really fast through them, but you're going to get copies of them. What they are is their training programs, different types of funding streams that the state of Texas offers workforce boards to do training in Texas for different levels and different populations. So for high school students, we do have an in-school program, which we offer work experience. We are trying to look back at the old, remember the old job shadowing days where we would send students to shadow different employers. Those are some of the things that we like to do when we are offering again. And then of course the program that Gracie mentioned right now. But again, it's a lot of information, I know, but we want you to get familiar with the center. Yes, ma'am.
For the student who's not low socioeconomic status, what do you offer for them?
They're available to come into our services and we can refer them to jobs. To become eligible for what was mentioned, the WIOA, Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, that one has an income eligibility criteria. But if they don't meet the income eligibility for that particular program, they can still get services as far as referrals to jobs, but they may not be able to get the job training program paid for them.
But you would be able to help them with interviewing techniques.
Oh, yeah, all of those classes, all of those resources are still offered free to them.
Yes, and we can schedule days where they can come here at our center. For example, the job corps, they do come here at our center every month and they bring their students. They go ahead and look at the whole center and we tell them about the resources that we have available. and then we register them on Work in Texas. We provide them with referrals, with mock interviews. So we can schedule those with here at our center too, with the school districts. We can schedule group sessions where they can come do mock interviews and getting those tips for them to be ready for the workforce. Our main focus is also in getting the employers. So once we do the referral, we will call the employer and we let them know about who we referred so they can be expecting that participant. So then we tell the participant, okay, this is the day and time where you'll be going. So we do schedule those interviews with the participant as well. So we provide them the referral, we inform them of where they have to go, who they have to speak with, if it's in person, over the phone, through email or online. So that's our main focus, and also getting those, hosting those hiring events for the participants between the ages of 16 to 18 and getting them employed as soon as possible.
Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Tracy. So what Ms. Tracy mentioned was basic requirements for our youth program. We do have the in-school and out-of-school. But one of the services that we provide here is also the GED program. The GED program is open to the community. No age requirement. It's open enrollment. It's online, and they take it at their own pace. But another one of the wonderful things that we do provide is the job readiness courses. Ms. Cintron mentioned so much on the soft skills that the employers are noticing that they don't have these soft skills. So our duty is to provide these soft skills to our youth and adults. So there's no age limit to what we do. These job readiness courses are available online. I provide these on a daily basis, Tuesday through Friday. They're open to everybody. I provide these via Zoom or Facebook Live. These touch up on basic resume writing, dress for success, interview tips, mock interviews, like what Ms. Gracie mentioned. So all of these little things, I've even been invited to go to your schools to present these essential skill trainings. And what it's backing up what Ms. Cintron said, that this is what the employers are looking for, that a lot of our new entry-level employees are lacking. And so if we go back to the school districts, back to the classroom, we can all start working together to provide these quality employees. So again, I'll be available around in case you're interested more on the job readiness courses as well. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Trevino.
We'll go on from there. Well, again, one of the beauties of the one-stop workforce center when they were created was that in years past, and I'm talking many years back, when individuals needed job training or needed referrals to jobs or needed referrals to some type of support service, there was different agencies all over the place, and they would have to go apply at a certain agency, and then they were told, yeah, we can help you with this, but you also need this and this and this. You need to go apply over here. And they would send them to another agency. And then that agency may say, well, but you can also get help somewhere else. So they would send them to somewhere else. And people would get lost in the cracks at that time, because many times it's difficult when you follow these organizations. All of us, we do have eligibility requirements. So, people have to sometimes bring documentation, fill out certain forms, and they can get frustrated when they have to go from facility to facility to facility. So the beauty of the Workforce Center was that it brought all those resources together. So we have, under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, we're offering job training, referrals to jobs, but we also offer the support services that Gracie mentioned, childcare services. That's one of our largest funding streams for individuals that are either going to work, looking for work, or going to training, to education and training. We can pay for their childcare services for their children, because if you have a young child that's not school age ready yet, and you don't have somebody to take care of them, you're not gonna be able to go to work. You can't be comfortable at work or go to school, to go to college if your children are not taken care of. So we help provide those services, also childcare services, and it's offered here out of this center.